Welcome to the Hey Sister podcast, where sisters share real opinions and have honest conversations about life, growth, and everything in between. Hey sisters, how y'all doing?
Hey sisters.
Hey.
We'll start with you, Faith. Faith, what have you been up to? How you been feeling?
I've been feeling just fine. I really don't have too many updates, but I will say, okay, I saw this girl say on TikTok the other day, because that's where everyone's references are from these days. She was saying that she's been working on getting, I don't even know. It might have been between LinkedIn and TikTok. Now I'm getting blurred. But someone had said like they had gotten like 1,000 no's in like 2025, or like their goal was to like, okay, I'm happy we all know. Okay. They're like, their goal was to get 1,000 no's. But of course, instead of getting no's, they got like, opportunities and yeses, and just like being able to be put in rooms they never thought they could be put in before. So I'm like, oh, so today before we got on the call, I started I'm gonna do 5 no's a week. And so I just emailed a couple people like, hey, I wanna work, hey, what you got? Hopefully they're not no's. Hopefully, some of them are some yeses.
No, for sure.
But I'm pretty much just gonna like bother everyone, just try to get as many I don't want to say as many no's as possible, but as many like, kind of cold emails as possible with people that I really been wanting to work with. And yeah, so that's my update. So right now I emailed like 2 people, so I got 3 more to go, and I'll let you guys know how that goes.
I love that. I think it's like a similar concept. There's like a thing that's going on social media also about like the dating game and how it's literally just a numbers game. And it's like, if you are never putting yourself out there, you'll never actually find the person, because it's like a numbers game. But I have been seeing that conversation. I've been thinking about like how to implement it. Some of the girls are like doing real exposure therapy, like going up to people and asking like ridiculous questions and being told no so that they can like get used to it. And I was like, I don't want to do that either. So I need to think about how to actually implement it. What about you, Amaya? How are you doing?
Pretty good. I just saw Marty Supreme recently, and I really did enjoy it. I don't know how I feel truly, because the marketing was so good, and I fear I can be easily bought and things like that. And I love Timothy Chalamet, so I thought it was really good. Though I don't know if it's like he about to win, the Oscar from that based off the other contenders like Sinners. I also need to watch one battle after another to like really see the competition. But I thought it was really good. I would say go watch it.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of the marketing for it, but I didn't know anything about the movie either.
I was afraid that the marketing would be better than the movie, because the marketing was actually really good. They put him in rooms to make sure that we saw it. So
yeah, I took the
did that
after too.
I literally followed him
because of that.
Yeah.
Wait, that's so funny. Yeah, I think it was good. I think it was appropriate, because otherwise, I feel like if they just focus on what the movie was about, people would be like, I'm not going to see that.
Yeah.
So I think it's better not to know what it's about.
Brooklyn, what about you?
I feel like I've just been catching up on my rest. I've been trying to catch up on my shows, so that's been fun to not focus on real life and just fill my time with other things. So I've been enjoying life recently.
Okay. No, I've been doing good too. I feel like I've been kind of getting back into a routine. I've been very intentional this week about going outside and like sitting in the sun, especially because we're in Texas and it's been weirdly hot. Like usually around December when I come home for Christmas, it's like 40, 50 degrees. And I brought so many like warm clothes. I didn't check the weather. I never check the weather when I travel. I just kind of like go off vibes. But I assumed it would be cold, and it's like high 70s, 80s in Texas this week, which is kind of unheard of. But yeah, I've just been trying to like sit in the sun, soak outside for a little bit. I've been trying to start reading again because I want to read a lot of books this year. So we're slowly getting back into routines, but it'll take some time, but we're getting there.
Yeah, it's been super hot in Atlanta too.
Really?
So that's been nice. But
I'm like, what is going on? Because I feel like Atlanta's usually cold too.
No, it is. Well, years ago it was warm during this time. Then I feel like January is like when it gets like cold, and then like it spikes back up like after February. But global warming and climate change and all the money not into it. So who knows?
Yes.
Every day it's like today it's 60, yesterday it was 70, tomorrow it'll be 50, next day it'll be 40. So Oh no.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll pass it off to Amaya. This episode is a Amaya production. So you want to kick us off?
Yes, absolutely. I think today would be a really good day to talk about friendships. Because after watching the first few seasons of Girlfriends, because that's as far as I could get, I had like a realization that this show isn't the show that I thought it was. This might be one of the messiest friend groups I've ever seen on TV. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about their friendships in the show. And then I really want us to focus on our own friendships in our own lives and how we show up and like kind of what's the expectation, what's the new norm for friends, and then how those expectations has changed. So if you don't know the show, for all our listeners who don't know the show or you just haven't watched it in a while, it's a show from the early 2000s, and Google describes it as an ensemble sitcom focusing on a mixed batch of Black women who face life's tests and triumphs together. Not true. From dating to divorce and family to relationships, Joan, which is Miss Tracy Ellis Ross, Maya, Lynn, and Tony support each other. Not true. Despite their differing backgrounds, learning about true friendships in the process. Once again, not true. My personal opinion, I won't go too deep on it, but that it's more like a horror film about how to not have certain friendships and a scary story as to not what to do, as to show you what not to do in your friendships. Like,
okay, wait.
Oh yeah.
Was this your first time watching? I guess, when did everyone watch it for the first time? And is anyone like hesitant?
I feel like I watched it when I was younger, but not sequentially. Like I remember Joan's house a lot because that's where I feel like most of the episodes were filmed in, and like some things sparked a memory. But this was my first time like cognitively watching. How about you guys?
My first time watching, I think like truly watching, was post graduation. So I graduated in like what, 22? In 2022, so I was 22 when I watched it like for real through like from beginning to end. So like I still remember like a lot of it. I do remember it was very chaotic, but I think I expected also like a very cutesy, like, oh, love, friendship, like da da da. Very much a little bit different, like a lot of arguing, and I don't like all that, but it was still a really good show.
I grew up watching it. Like, this is actually one of my favorite shows. It's like my comfort show. I watched it. I probably watched it a million times. I watched it growing up, and I feel like I didn't really understand it too much. And I remember like in college, I was like fiending to watch it, so I found it on YouTube, and I like watched all the seasons on YouTube again, but you could barely see it because it was basically like someone just recording like with their phone and put on YouTube. And maybe like a year later, Netflix was like, "We have girlfriends." I'm like, "What?" So then I literally was watching it on Netflix whenever. To Maya's point, you say it's a horror story. It's not supposed to be a good friendship. The creator of Girlfriends, Mara Brock-Akil, describes it as like complex lies for Black women, but showing them as super flawed and realistic. So it's not supposed to be like, oh, lovey-dovey, like boom, boom, boom. It's supposed to be like, we're all kind of fucked up in our own way, and like how they kind of navigate that. So I think if you kind of look at it in that lens, and also I guess even just watching it now, I don't really think of it as like for like just girlfriends. I'm just like, they're just going through life like separately. Come on, expert. Even like we're forgetting one of the girlfriends, William, the fifth girlfriend. Like they even like talk about like him navigating like his life as like a Black man, like a Black successful man in America, and then him like being, you know, in their lives and everything. So I feel like when you kind of think of it like that, it kind of makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, I watched it for the first time. It couldn't have been more than 2 years ago, and I'd always like heard of it. I don't even think I'd seen episodes of it like in passing growing up. I just had never really like been engaged with it, and so I watched it for the first time at like 27, 28 years old, and I didn't know that they were like supposed to be flawed. I thought this was supposed to be like, oh my gosh, the pinnacle of like Black women friendships, because I feel like I would see on social media all the time people were like, girlfriends, like the ultimate girl group. Like people would speak so highly of these girls, and I'm like, oh yeah, let me like watch the show about Black girlfriends. And I turned it on, and I was like, what is this? This is amazing. So I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to say my vision of what Girlfriends was kind of shattered, but like it kind of was. So I was like expecting these to be like the ultimate like Black girlfriend group, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, I think that was a really hard thing to overcome when I watched, because I think, Faith, your description of the show, if I went in with that lens, I wouldn't be as disappointed with it. But I said, at first it didn't start. I was like, I don't know why everybody's talking about at first it didn't start so bad. And I started realizing and recognizing patterns, which we'll talk about later. I said, this is terrible. I hope none of my friends ever act like this. But if we had to choose a character who we are most alike, who would you choose? And I'm going to give the readers a little quick blurb in case they haven't watched it. But we've got Joan. She's like the main friend. Like, she brings all of these friends and people together. She's like really controlling, and she needs to be needed. She loves to be needed. And Maya is blunt realist who keeps it honest, but sometimes too honest. Then we've got Lynn, who's like nationally known as the free spirit, emotionally deep, but she's really unreliable. Then we've got Tony, who is ambitious, but like the total diva friend. She's loyal when it's convenient to her and also can be seen as very selfish. So let's see, Brooklyn, who are you most like?
I would say I'm most like Lynn with a splash of Joan. I'm definitely like the free spirit friend, likes to do like down for whatever, down for the vibes, down for an adventure. And like the splash of Joan, my friends would describe me as like the glue that brings everybody together, like the peacemaker, can always make sure everyone's like cool. Now, describing Lynn as the unreliable, I don't want to give myself that one, but very much free spirited.
No,
Bria,
that's
what
so
about
fair.
you?
I don't know. I actually, before this, I never really thought of myself as one of them. I think if I had to pick one, I would say a mix of Tony and Joan, because I feel like sometimes, like just going off of the description that you shared a little bit earlier, I do see myself as like very loyal to like the people that I call my friends, like would do anything for them. And I don't know, especially Tony, like, and super into work and like all type of stuff. I feel like I can let work kind of like take over my life sometimes. So like, for better or for worse, it's a trait that I relate with. But I also see Joan in myself because Joan was like mad controlling, and that can be like a lot sometimes. And I think like, especially when I'm like planning trips or like, you know, planning events and stuff like that, it's like, okay, here's the itinerary, here's what we're gonna do every single day. And I think I kind of see Joan in myself with that trait, at least, of like, okay, this is like the controlling aspect.
Okay, I feel like it's impossible to just be one of those people because, like you guys
Yeah.
said, they're all insane. And I also feel like if we're saying like type of friend, I feel like I'm a different type of friend for different friend groups, depending on like what's needed. Because like friend groups are just a little bit different. So honestly, I want to say like I'm a little bit of everyone, but like probably Tony the least. Like I love her fanciness. I love her like I want to have nice things, but her morals were just like so terrible to me. Like, but I really
Awful.
do like. I think I like always have a soft spot for Maya because she's like tells it how it is, and I feel like sometimes I can be a little bit blunt in like friendships and stuff like that. But sometimes you need to like find a common ground. But I feel like she's just like the realest one, and I also just love how her story. She was like kind of the underdog, and then like ended up kind of like just having like a really great career and like doing something that was supernatural to her. And then also definitely feel Lynn because she's just like all over the place, but she's also like very intelligent. Like she was in grad, she has like 10 different degrees. So I'm like, she just can't figure out what she wants to do in life. And I feel like that's okay. Like in the show, they're like 25 to 30 when it first starts out. And I feel like you literally are supposed to graduate college or come out of high school like knowing what you're supposed to do. And I'm like, that's just impossible. That's not how life works. So I feel like Lynn kind of shows that, and after a while, she like kind of finds her groove. And then Joan's literally insane. I don't know, but I just love I just feel like she, in the sense that she was like grounded with like trying to help everyone and even like exhausting herself to help some people sometimes, which I feel like I can do. But then the part of it I don't want to put on me is like she always expects something back from people. Like, oh, I helped you, Lynn, or I helped you, Tony. Now I'm expecting this, and this, and I feel like well, that's not a friend. So yeah.
Yeah. I feel like for me, I'm a mix of Tony minus the like complete lack of self-awareness, and like she's just purely selfish. Like everything just purely motivated. And I feel like I can sometimes be described as selfish, but like it's not as like ill-intended. I feel like at least the way I would describe it is a little bit more, knowing my boundaries and stuff with friends. But I also would say I've also been told, and I don't know if it's just because we've got similar names, but people also have said that I'm a little bit like Maya. I think she's like very outspoken in which ways I don't think I could ever feel comfortable being that outspoken. I think maybe more in my head. I think maybe mentally, that's some stuff she would say out loud is what I would say in my head, but I would never be brazen enough to say it out loud, which she was doing too much a lot of the times, but I wish sometimes I could be a little bit more outspoken like that. But I feel like what I really enjoyed about all our descriptions as like who we would be is we kind of took some best and worst parts of like some of the characters, because I feel like humans and friendships are so complex. So I want to kind of shift to more of a guided conversation around what our own personal friendships are like. And I think a great way to start for our listeners is so that they can understand a little bit more about what kind of friend are we, like when you're in your friend group, like what kind of role do you play, and like what do you think other people would say about what kind of friend you are. How about you, Faith? We'll start with you.
Okay. There's actually like a hard question because you kind of have to like think about like what your friends think. But I think kind of like I said earlier, when I was thinking about this question, like yesterday, I was kind of like, well, like all my friend groups really are like so completely different. So it's like Bria is like one of my main friend groups, like our college like girlfriend group, and even like some of our guy friends. But I feel like in like those spaces, I'm kind of more like the fun, like supportive friend. Like if you need something or something going on, I will be the one to pull up and like help and like do whatever. But I'm also like, I just want to have fun. Like my friends are like, I'm tired. I want to stay in the house. I'm like, get your ass up and we're gonna go outside and we're gonna find some fun. And then I feel like in some of my like other friend groups, I'm more kind of like more of like the planner. Like if I didn't plan this, like we will not see each other. If I didn't give like an itinerary or like, okay guys, this is what we're doing for New Year's, what we're doing, like we would all just not do anything for New Year. So I think also just like kind of just being aware that like all your friends are different, like even all your friend groups. So it's kind of like trying to, I guess just for me, I don't want to say it's like for everyone, but I think for me, I just try to like figure out like, okay, what like are we missing, or like what is like kind of the glue that holds us together, and like what are some of the aspects that like I can kind of pinpoint myself to like make sure I'm like, okay, do I need to like check in what update, or do I need to be supportive? Do I just need to be quiet today, or should I be loud? So I feel like I'm like not one type of friend. I'm kind of just like whatever the day is, I'll just figure out how to be, fill in the gaps for our friend group. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. You're flexible.
Yeah, I'm the flexible friend. I like that.
I can be like a different friend to different people, but I think the common ground is a lot of people like describe me as like the mom of the group or like the planner of the group. I think that I'm not great at like being like, oh, I haven't reached out to this person in a while, let me plan something. But I'm really good at, hey, we want to plan this. And I'm like, cool. Like I can like get the details and like get it moving. Like, so I think that I'm really good at that. I also am just a very detail oriented person, which can be annoying sometimes. I 100% understand, but like, when it's not just like, are we going, let's go to this concert. For me, it's like, okay, but like who thought about parking? Like what time are we gonna leave? Like here's the itinerary, XYZ. And so it's like I usually will think about like all the details that goes into something, which no one ever like complains about per se, but it's just something that it's like, why are you thinking so much into it, I guess. I think that's like pretty consistent across all of my different friend groups, even when I think about like my main friend group with Faith and like my friends from college and even some of the guys like we hang out with too. Also like my friends from high school too. Whenever we decide to like link up, it's like, okay, here's like what we're gonna do and how we're gonna kind of make it work too. There was this test and I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it always stuck with me, like the result. And you would like, it's basically like a personality test and they give you like what kind of person you are. And my result, I wish I remember the name of it, I'll look it up, but my result was the connector. And so like I think I'm really good at like bringing my different friend groups together and being like, hey, everyone be friends, and like you're into this and you're into that, so like y'all go be friends. And then it just kind of like blossoms into a bigger friend group, which I've had to get better at in LA too, just because everyone lives so far. It's like if you aren't intentional about like wanting to see each other, actually hanging out in LA is like a whole thing, because it's like you gotta get on the highway, you gotta get in traffic, you gotta like, if you're not actually planning anything, people aren't just leaving their home for no reason. So it's like, and I also am not a very like social outside type of girl all the time. So like if I'm feeling social and in the mood to be outside, I'm gonna do it all at once. So I was like, just like get it done for this 2 weeks, and then I can go like hibernate for 2 more weeks. And so it's like bringing my different friend groups together is something that I've had to like work on in LA and also like be a little bit better at. But I think that connector aspect is something that I've gotten good at too.
I like how y'all describe how you put it. I like how Faith put it, like a very flexible friend. I feel like that's how I am also, because I feel like you were mentioning, like, there's so many different like friendships you make through life, like your high school friends and like those people you go to school with, and like when you move to your first city, and then like when you're moving, and so there's so many different chapters. I feel like I've formed like different relationships with like different people. I feel like as like a whole overall, like I mentioned earlier, like I'm like the type of friend that I make sure everyone's cool. Like, you know, you can call me like when you want a good time, like have a good time. Peacemaker, like I don't want anyone to argue. I not really a big arguing person. I just want everyone to be at peace, happy, and in the friendships. I feel like you were mentioning like how you show up in different groups. Like I think like especially going back to school, like I'm the youngest of my class pretty much, and so like I feel like I show up differently than like some of my other friend groups. Like my line, for example, I'm one of the oldest, so I feel like that I have to show up and be like kind of more the mature like mom type of role. But like I'm not a type A person in any way. Like I'm not the planner. I am a show up and we can make the vibes as we go. And so I think it's like you have to pull on different skills sometimes, but I think like as a whole, like I want to be the peacemaker. I want to make sure everyone like is cool with each other. I don't think I'm like a connector type of thing. I do kind of keep my friend groups very separate. It's like I know I can have some very strong personality friends, so just I like peace. So for the peace of it all, I do usually keep them separate. But I think like my friends would describe me as like peacemaker, like very, very loyal, always down for a good time, like a ride or die type of friend.
I feel like we all show up in our friendships kind of differently. I think for me, I feel like I'm a little bit of all of you guys. I can like go with the flow, but to an extent. Like if we're like we're going
I saw
out,
your TikTok about this.
Did you see? Have you seen that quote that's like, "I'm very go with the flow, but like, what time does the flow start?"
yeah.
Yes.
And when does
Yeah.
I have to like mentally prepare myself for things like that.
I'm trying to teach Amaya to be better with the flow.
She's testing me, y'all. It's like fascinating just to see someone go through life and have like some chill. Like I just can't imagine having. I'm like, what do they call it? Like chalant. I have a lot of chalants. I'm nonchalant at all. So I need to know what's going on, who's going to be there. But I do love, like Bria, I do love to bring people together. I think that's one of my like golden gifts. Used to actually, when I was younger, kind of frustrate me that I can like put people in a room and then like they become friends. Like that actually
Yeah,
used
it's
to
like you're
like
my friend.
Now she got
I'm like,
jealous.
y'all are not friends.
You're like,
my friend.
why are y'all hanging out? That makes no sense if I'm not there. Now I've gotten a lot better about that. It did used to genuinely make me jealous. But I love just like putting people in a room and like now seeing like sparking connections because that's how I made a lot of my friends. So to be able to like give that back to like my community and my friends, I think is really it's a more of a blessing than I used to think of it as.
Yeah.
And I would say and this will lead into kind of my next question because I feel like you guys are all really good at this, but I personally am better one-on-one. I don't know what it is about a friend group. I can like keep a loose friend group, but there's always like, for example, me and my best friend from high school, middle school, she'll get mad at me if I say high school. We met in 8th grade. So I would say she yells at me every single time I do that. I feel like her and I have moved through like a bunch of different friend groups together. Like I'm like, okay, I'm taking you to the next one, and she taking me to the next one. And then we're gonna be in this friend, we're gonna be in that friend group. So, how do you guys make friend groups work? What's like the key?
I feel like a really big key is that number one, knowing that they could change. Because even thinking about like Faith and I's friend group, that kind of shifted like throughout college. Like everyone that we are that's kind of in our core group now wasn't there to start, and maybe it was like joining the school at a different time, or like we didn't know them at the time, but it kind of started with me and Faith. And then it was like Kyla lived like around the corner, so we would like bring her into the group. But then there was another girl who she left Ohio State, so we just weren't like super close with her after that. But it kind of ebbs and flows a little bit. But I think what Brooklyn said too is really important is just kind of like knowing personality types. There's certain personalities that I'm like, you probably would not mess with this person. So like let me just for the sake of, keeping the peace, not put y'all in the same room because you have strong opinions, they have strong opinions, and I don't want to spend the whole night listening to y'all argue. So it's like so it's just one of those things that's like let's just go ahead and avoid kind of things. But also, like, I'm someone who I love like one-on-one friendships. I think that you have to kind of go into it knowing that like you may not be the same level of close with everyone in that friend group. So like me and Faith are close because we went to school. Like we were roommates for all these years, and like we will always kind of have that like baseline of closeness. But there are certain like friends even outside of that friend group and people that we met at Ohio State where it's like I could check in with them like once every 6 months, and it's like, oh, like we're still friends, but like we're not, at that same level, I guess.
I can jump in. I've had like a little bit different than what you're talking about, Amaya. I've had the same core, I would say, friend group for since college. So we've been locked in for a minute. And I think number one, like you're saying, how do you do friend groups? I think for me, I'm also like a smaller group person. I feel like when I get in big groups, like I can usually go quiet sometimes because like I said, I have a lot of very strong, loud personality friends and I love them to pieces, but I am not usually like the loudest in the room. So I do like my one-on-ones, but like I think the key in like how I make my friend groups work is that I know who to go to for each thing. So like when I need advice, I'm going to one friend. Like, there's someone in my friend group I say like I would never take advice from ever. Like I know who to go to for my advice. I know who to go to when I want to go on a dummy mission and make a bad choice. Like I know who to go to for each piece. I think that's how I like am able to have that friend group. I have a different relationship with each one of them because I go to them for different things. But as a group, I think how we function well is that number one, we accept that we're all very, very different. Like if we had all the same people, I don't think we get along at all. And like we have very strong personalities, but like we also are like very independent at the same time. So it's like we call ourselves like very low maintenance friends. Like we're locked in and we know we're not going anywhere, but like at the same time, we don't need to talk every single day. Like we don't need to be catching up every single day, every single week. Like we allow such great independence between us. I think that's what helps us as well. I think also like we have like a lot of the same like values, like core like fundamental values that I think like we have this baseline of like, okay, these are the things that we all like value in a friendship, value in a relationship, our faith that might be, or like being honest with each other or being loyal to each other, whatever that might be. And like we have that baseline, it's like all the other stuff, it will work out because we always fall to those same values that we have. So I think like that's how we make ours work.
I like that. I feel like the values is like super important because I feel even like going back to girlfriends, like a lot of them had like super different like opinions. And I feel like even down to like political views and things like that. Like people are like, oh, you can be a friend. No, you cannot. Like in this climate, no. If you think a certain way, no, we cannot be friends because that's really insane. So, or at least even if you have that thought, I guess, be open to like seeing why you're wrong and like, going from there. But I think also, and you girls kind of all touched on it, it's just like also having like the individual like friendships with like everyone in the friend group. So I think like making sure like, you're checking on different people, or it's like you said, Brooklyn, like you can go to different people for certain things. Like we don't have to talk every day, but like, we still want to make sure we're checking in, or like if it's not in the group chat, if you've been quiet for a while, like hit you on the side. So I think basically it's like remembering like everyone is still individual. So of course, like you have like this huge friend group, but like still making sure, even if you don't have like a super close relationship with everyone, making sure you have some type of relationship. So it's like if you have one thing in common with like one friend, making sure like maybe if you're not texting or on the call type relationship, you're still like, on social media and we're like talking through there. Or like I might send you something funny or send you something that like goes with your career or something like that you would like or whatever. So I think just like making sure that you like still kind of have a relationship with everyone individually. Like when it does come time for like everyone to come together for like their big like like we're having like a friend trip, or I know like for a lot of my friend groups, like none of us live in the same city. I do have like kind of like a friend group in Atlanta, but they're literally all like we all went to high school together. So I think that's also kind of different because they're not like people I didn't know. It's like people I like kind of grew up with. And some of them like moved away too, but it's kind of like making sure that like I might meet one-on-one with this person one day, might meet one-on-one with this person one day. Like everyone always doesn't have to come, but then also making sure that like you just checking in on everyone individually, just so you have like I feel like that kind of makes the friend group stronger. Because I feel like if no one's like talking individually, then it's like, well, is this a friend group, or are we just like, they're just like a couple of friends?
Like a collection of people.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's super important to have kind of a balance between your friends. I think for me, one way to make my friend groups work is to realize obviously you've got different friends, different folks for different strokes, but you've also have like different friend groups for different purposes. Like there's certain friend groups and like we talk TV shows. Like that is our thread that we talk about. And there's other people and who I have friend groups with who it's like, okay, we like go hang out together, like we can go out kind of friends. But then obviously you always have to have within those friend groups like your individual relationships, how you were saying, Faith. I feel like that's like really important, and what those foundations of friendships are built upon can be different. And for the longest time, it took me a long time to realize that that's okay. Like I'm not going to be best friends with every single person in the friend group,
Yes.
and that's actually like impossible because how many best friends can you possibly have? And like they all mean the same to you. I feel like that was like, okay, we can still be friends, but we don't have to be like, we don't have to talk every day for us to like mean something to each other. I think that was like what I like had to learn over time. And so I also want to touch on, I know we've talked about like how our friendships have like changed a little bit. I think we've all hit on it, but I really want it to be something that the listeners hear. Like, how has your relationships and friendships changed over time? Where like I know sometimes in college, like I feel like in college it was really easy to make a friend. We could be in the same class and we're like locked in. Now it takes a little bit more work, or like what has been like the difference, and then how do you approach your friendships now perhaps differently than you would previously? How about you, Bria?
Yeah, I think the biggest change was definitely the fact that you're leaving a college campus and like you're not seeing those people all the time. Brooklyn, I'm about to put your business out there, but when we went to Brooklyn's graduation, she was so upset like the whole day. Like graduation was not a happy day for her at all. Like in tears, crying the whole day because she was gonna have to like leave her friends. I remember being like, I know exactly how that feels. Like because when you're on a college campus and you can like go literally walk out my room and go see Faith right next door. It's different than like we need to all hop on the plane and go to the same city and like figure out how to see each other. And that was like probably one of the biggest adjustments because even though Faith was like the only friend that I lived with in school, Jocelyn was a couple streets over. Like Nia was roommates with Jocelyn, Kyla was right down the street. So it was like everyone was kind of in this network of we can get to each other in 10 minutes or less. Where it's like now, especially as we're all getting older, and, you know, at first it kind of started, and we went to college at Ohio State. I moved out of Columbus right after graduation. But even like kind of looking at our line sisters, there was a point in time where like, okay, like 15 of them were still like in the same city. And then like the next year it was down to like maybe 9 or 10. And then the next year it was like 5. And now it's like, is anyone even in Columbus still? I have no idea. So it's like, it's one of those things that like as even like more and more time goes on, you're moving to different cities, you're like getting further. Like at one point I was in Indianapolis, which is like easy to get to. I was driving back and forth to Columbus all the time. But like now I'm in LA and getting to Faith, I got to get on a plane. Like it's just a little bit more involved, which I think is not a bad thing. It's just definitely a really big change to where it's like I could wake up back in the day and be like, I feel like getting on Faith's nerves and like just going and knock on her door. So it's just like a little different of a situation.
Back off like what Bria said, like just getting older, you just have to be like a lot more like intentional about like your friendships and like what spending time looks like for you. Like being from Ohio, like even going to Ohio State, a lot of my friends like didn't go to Ohio State, so like navigating that, they would come up from I'm from Cincinnati, so it wasn't too far. But like a lot of my friends would come up from Cincinnati all the time, and like always thought that was fun, introducing them to like Bria and all my college friends. And then like I moved down to Atlanta, and I'm like, okay, I pretty much had to like figure like, okay, who's down here already that like I know, and that's kind of how I navigated Atlanta. There's like a group of guys who I'm like really close with who went to the same high school as me. And then like one of them was like my cousin, so it's like okay, that's easy. And then like a lot of people from Ohio State live down here, so I'm like, cool, I'm gonna connect with them, even if we weren't cool at Ohio State. Like, some of them like became my best friends like in life now. And then the horror happens, everyone moves away. Like I was just with one of my line sisters, Iman. She's from Atlanta, and she's back in town for like the holidays. And I was just like, oh, like all my favorite people have moved away. Now, of course, I still have favorite people here. If you're listening, you're still my favorite people. I love y'all.
You gotta
But
give
it's
that
like,
caveat.
dang, right. But I think I just remember when I first moved to Atlanta, I was like okay, come to my house, come to my house. And everyone would just come to my house and I'll be the person, okay, we're all going out together. And it'd be like a big group. And now I'm just like, okay, I guess only a couple of us can like, mind you, I don't really go out. But like now it's kind of more like, okay, if I'm going out, I'm going out with like my music friend, like my music industry friends or like my old colleague. But we're kind of just like, it's only a couple of us. We're just going to like this little exclusive event. We can't bring too many people. Kind of going back to that, since a lot of my friends don't live here, we kind of have to like, okay, I'll either write down my notes like on Tuesday, text Bria on Thursday, text her Dan. If I haven't heard from them in a couple of days, or like some of my friends were like more so like we'll like FaceTime a little bit, and a lot of my friends have kids, so I'm always like checking on the kids and like see how they're doing. So it's kind of like being like, oh, you're a whole mom, like you can't sit here and talk to me all day. So kind of just like trying to fit within their schedules and like knowing what they have going on in life. And just like being more intentional about reaching out. But have you guys seen the thing where it's like, I think it's going around TikTok now, and it's like when you catch up with your friends, and that's where it's like literally me and my friends, and they'll be like, "Hey girl, what you doing?" She's like, "Nothing. I got engaged. Oh, who'd you get engaged to? Tony? Oh no, it was Jamal. Oh really? Oh, actually, okay. What else is going on? I just got hired a new job. Oh cool. Where is it at? Oh, it's in Bali. I gotta go to Bali. And then also my aunt got kidnapped and something. And I just thought it was so funny. Then it'll be like, okay, gotta go. Bye. Talk to you next time. And it's like nothing was really talked about. All you had time was talk about your updates equally, but couldn't like get into anything too deep, and then you have to go about your life. So kind of look at it like that's kind of how being older you have to navigate friendships. There's really no time for anything, unfortunately. And I feel like the older we get, the less time we have. We're gonna have like kids and families and all these things sooner or later. So I think it's like having to find like those little, what's the word? Find those little pockets to like connect. Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah, I can jump in. And yeah, like Bria mentioned, when I left school, I was down bad. I will admit it. Because me and my best friend, so we lived in the same dorm freshman year. Then we were living at the same apartment complex. We were next door neighbors. So like I could literally walk out, take 5 steps, go into their house. Like we all were like right in walking distance. And so we just did everything together, like every step of the way, like every up, every down, like we were doing together. And so when it was time to leave, that was definitely like a very big transition because we all moved to different cities. So there were 6 cities between the 7 of us. And so it was next door neighbors to now a flight to get to each other. And so it was very, very different in like how we were like managing friendships. And I think it was also weird leaving undergrad because I'm like a social butterfly. I love to talk to people, love to go out, meet people at the bar. Like I can make a friend in 30 seconds. But it was different, I feel like, because I was leaving like those, yes, they were surface level, but like leaving those surface level relationships and moving to a brand new city where like I didn't know anybody except for like 1 to 2 people. And so it wasn't like I could walk into a bar and know majority of the people because I've already seen them 10 other times at the bar before. And so I think it was just like a mix of those two things. I knew my relationships would look very, very different, like taking a step out of college. And it's like now like having to approach it very differently. Like Faith was talking about, like it's definitely very hard to like relationships look very different. Like we're not doing everything together anymore. Like we try to catch up with each other like every other week or like once a month. We try to like all get on FaceTime and catch up or things like that. But it definitely looks very different. And like big updates, like we're not like running to each other next door to each other and telling them the news anymore, but it definitely looks a little bit different. I think like when I had to like start navigating friendships in a new city, it was like I still knew how to make friends and everything, but I feel like when I was in school it was like, oh, I can make a new friend, but like I always got my friends, like my core friends are right here, don't worry, like if I'm not close with you I still got my girls back here. And so it looked like very different moving to a different city because it's like, okay, I do have my friends but like they're a flight away. It's like I can't go run to their house or like XYZ. And so definitely looked very different, but I think like I still got to form like really cool relationships. But like you mentioned, like it's going places with your coworkers and like going to happy hours every once in a while, but it's like not the consistency like how it used to be. Because like real life starts to happen. Like you get tired after work, like you want to lay down. You're not trying to be doing all that every day. So it definitely looks different. I think it's like weird going back because now I'm back in school, and so like I have a roommate, and now like we live really close to each other, and like school is like 5 minute walk from me. So it's like weird to like be back in a situation where like I'm back to the closeness of seeing each other every single day. But I think it's like a different approach now that like I've seen the flip side of it at the same time.
It's interesting you're having like kind of like a switch back into how it was before. I'm so, because I feel like when you're in school and before like adulthood, friends are a matter of like convenience. Like I see you every day. I live next to you every day. Like this is so easy. And to carry those friendships from that experience to now we just have to play catch up is like really hard. And it really showed me who I actually wanted to be friends with.
Yeah.
And he was like just a friend because it was convenient to see you. And one of the hardest things that I feel like happened to me that transpired was the whole like the catching up versus experiencing things together. And even just a recent shift for me this past summer from not living with my best friend after 4 years to now like living with a man. It was like, well, like
The whisper.
with him, with their brother. And so like it just felt so different because I'm like, I knew when she would wake up, go to like I knew all of her patterns and habits, what she would eat for dinner, breakfast, lunch. Like I was so tuned into that. And after just like a couple weeks, I was like, I had a meltdown. I was like, I don't know what's going on in your life. Like you don't tell me. But it's because she never had to like we never had to play catch up. We're just like experiencing it together. And so we had to make like a pact where we would now at least see each other once a week because we don't live too far from each other. But again, it's not like right next door. It's a little bit different. So we still now just go make sure that we do a workout together every week. So I feel like that's like our guaranteed like girl time when it's just like her and I. So I think that has like helped. Again, it's like not easy. We both got very busy schedules. We like, okay, we can only do this time at this day. And I'm like, okay, I'll make that work. So it's definitely just like overcoming it's not going to be easy and who's really worth the effort, which I think I could do a little bit better about in general. Because, you know, especially with like, I always have to like, what do you call that? Audit myself. Like, okay, if my man asked me to hang out, would I say yes? Versus like if my friend asked me to hang out and I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. So it's like also just trying to balance that, I think has also like been a learning lesson. Okay, time to be just a little messy. We've been talking about how great our friendships are, how much we've learned, all this progress and growth. But let's play a little game of Would You Rather rapid fire questions. First question is, would you rather have a friend who always tells you the hard truth or one who always supports you publicly but talks privately about you?
I would say hard truth.
For other people.
Yeah.
We'll check you in public. I don't like to be checked in public. I would rather you tell me privately.
They will support you in public, but will talk to you privately. Not to
Yes.
talk about other people
Okay,
to
yeah.
you. Okay. I was like, why do I want people talking
my
about me?
Right. But it sounds like girlfriends. So
I would like to switch my answer.
I as well.
You can, when we're around other people, be like, yeah, that's what my friend said.
She said what she
and
said.
then as soon as it's just us, just me tripping. Like,
dead
no.
wrong.
yeah.
Dead wrong, and that's okay.
It's okay. I love you.
But I want us to be a united front in front of other people.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. Next question. Would you rather a friend who checks in on you frequently or one who only shows up in like big emergencies and times in your life only?
I feel like the easy answer is like frequently, but then weekly's kind of hard.
No, I'm like,
on what
that's
you
a
have
lot.
to do that week. So I also think it is important when people do show up during emergencies, but I feel like in the middle. I don't know. This question.
I feel like the impact of not showing up in an emergency is felt more than the impact of someone who reaches out to you.
That's
weekly.
true.
Like if someone's like really going through something and it's like, oh no, I can't be there. You feel that more than like, oh, this person we talk every week.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I was gonna say, like a big emergency, it means more like if I know I can call you in a big emergency than like if I can just text you once a week. Like I can text anybody once a week.
Yeah. And that once a week might be a bi-weekly, monthly thing for me. So I'd rather you be there for me when I like really need you.
Yeah.
Another question. Would you rather a friend who ghosts you when they get into a relationship or one who oversteps in your relationship? Oh, that was actually hard, I feel like.
Wait, I actually know mine. I would want one that oversteps in my relationship because I'm known to not listen to what anybody has to say anyways. So I do my own thing anyway. You can tell me that is the worst decision of my life and I'll probably still make the decision. So you can overstep, I just won't listen. So I would pick that one.
I think I picked that one too, only because, and I'm trying to think, I feel like a lot of my friends when they get in relationships are not like really quiet, but like my guy friends when they get into relationships, they like get really quiet. But I feel like that's only when the relationship is not healthy because they don't want to hear, or even like vice versa, but people just don't want to hear the things like the advice you're trying to give them when it comes from like a loving place. So I'd rather you just be like on my relationship because honestly, maybe you're healthy. Like who knows?
Yeah, you can take her to leave it.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess overstepping. I feel like, God forbid, like certain relationships don't work out. I always like, I feel like I had to be very intentional about that too when I was in my last relationship, because it's like, if this relationship don't work out, I don't want to be the one crawling back to my friends like, hey,
hey girl.
Hey, how y'all doing?
and it's like, girl, we haven't heard from you in like a year. It's like, I guess I would rather have a friend overstep, because you'll feel it if you don't hear from someone in a year because they are in a relationship.
Dang, I am in the opposite of majority. Singularity? I don't know what the word for that. I don't know what the word for that is, but I feel like I'd rather have my friend ghost me. Yeah, minority. There it is.
Crazy.
I
Singularity.
was never gonna come up with that. For me, I definitely would rather have someone ghost me, because I'm like, okay, they just, focusing on their own like, little ting or whatever. And I feel like it's so common that people do ghost, because I would hate for people to overstep in my relationship, because I also don't like overstepping in people's relationship. I typically will keep it cute when it comes to comments, because I'm like, if that's what you like, that's what you like. And like most of my friends like you, Brooklyn, are going to do what they're going to do anyway. So I'll speak when spoken to and ask for advice, but I don't got to sleep next to that man every day. So like, that's all on you. So if you guys go do your thing, go do your thing. We'll leave it at that.
That's a big thing though, because I feel like even, growing up with certain friends and, you go through all the different relationships, that, like sometimes you'll hear stories and it's like, oh, I wouldn't do that, or like, maybe you should like leave. I don't know. And it's
I
like,
don't know.
And then like at the end of the day, they're literally going to do what they want to do. And it's like, you can't stress yourself out being like, but at the same time, as that friend, you can't ask me multiple times what I think about it. Like, I know already.
You ain't gonna do nothing about it.
Right.
No, really.
Like, if you're not gonna leave that man, then you just gotta not stop bringing it to me.
Yeah. And I think also one thing I've learned is like when people are like mad or upset, I don't want to say like they're over exaggerating, but like the situation may come off like as worse than like what it really is. Of course, if there's like violence or like bad things involved, like that's totally different. Cheating, you don't do that. But like if it's just like, oh, no, 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 and you're kind of like your friend's upset and like crying and like emotionally, like, oh my gosh, like we hate him.
Yeah, you go into defense mode quick.
Yeah, you're going into defense mode, but it's like sometimes if you like really break it down, it's like, well, maybe you should have like not did that, or like here's not, like So I kind of also think it's like, so I think being in a relationship, I try to think like, okay, I'm not gonna like go run and tell my friends something happened. I'm like, let me think on it for a couple of days, see if it still bothers me or was I tripping because I was tripping. But I feel like that kind of helped too, because I feel like I feel like people will say stuff, and I'm like, weren't you upset last week? And they're like, oh yeah, I should have never told you that. I'm like, oh, okay.
It's like that thing where it's like, don't tell your family about what a man did, because it's like you will forget and they will not.
They'll never forget. They'll never forget. Yeah, you gotta pick and choose. Pick and choose what you tell your friends and family. Yeah, because then they'll be like, oh, well, didn't he? Girl, we forgot about that. Right. We have moved on.
We have moved on.
So you should too. But that's hard. That's hard to do. Now it is time for some listener questions. If you have any questions that you want to ask us about any topics, feel free to email us at any time at theheysisterpod@gmail.com or on Instagram. So today's first question is, and Faith, you touched on this earlier, and I always find this a very interesting question, but it goes, in this political climate, how do you navigate your relationships with people who vote differently from you?
Oh, in this climate, there's no navigation. There's nothing to navigate. Like,
I saw this question and was like, I don't have an answer for this.
Yeah, I'm not like super political, so I mean like maybe early 2000s, maybe like when the candidates were a little bit more,
wiggle room.
Not insane. You could like I could be friends with Republicans, but not today.
I just feel like at this point it's just very polarizing. Like, it's not, Faith, to your point, it's not like, we're arguing over taxes anymore. Like, that's not like
that's not where we're at.
Republican is anymore. It's like, do women deserve to have rights? Are you okay with people being snatched off of the streets? Like, these are like very important issues that like I personally don't think that there's any wiggle room to be like, okay, well, like you can believe that, but like it's fine, we can still be friends, because it's like I'm gonna be looking at you crazy. And I think that like I read this question and my first thought was like, I don't have any white friends to apply this to. Like, and I think that that's something that like I probably should have done better with. Even in business school, it's something that I tell people all the time that like I should have really like used that connection or like used that network a little bit more because you never know like whose parents these white people are XYZ. But I feel like I'm for better or for worse, which isn't like always a good thing. I'm very like, let me stay in my circle of black people. It's like you might get one or two black people every once in a while that's like, MAGA, go Trump. But it's like when you're introducing white people into the circle, you just encounter that a little bit more. And I'm like, okay, my little bubble of black is safe over here, or at least safer. Which isn't like the best way to go about it because I grew up and had white friends and I had, great white people around me growing up. I haven't checked in on them recently. They could be MAGA too, so who knows? So it's just like it's one of those things where it just feels so black or white, like you're either with us or you're not, kind of thing. And I think that makes it hard to like navigate that friendship versus like cutting it off completely, for me at least.
Yeah, I don't think there's a nowadays, like you said, Faith, in this particular political climate. I haven't really had to like cut off. I've threatened a couple cutoffs, but I haven't had to like actually do for people who I like actually cared about. I would have no problem doing that. I've done a lot of unfollowing sprees every time things come up, which really helps my follower like ratio. So I don't really mind that at all. I don't have friends whose values are so different from mine. Like I just like how can you be friends when your values at the core, like Democrat, Republican, whatever. It's just like core values at this point. So yeah, I think the only advice I have is to not be friends with that person, which I don't know if that's right or wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I think whenever I hear situations like this or like think about this question, I think about that girl who I don't remember if she like passed away in a car accident or like on the table, but she was pregnant and they like made her dead body give birth to the. Do you remember this in like Atlanta or something?
This was like Atlanta.
Yeah, I was like, I think it was Atlanta where like the girl was declared like brain dead, but the Republicans were like, no, she must have the baby. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like this is the type of stuff that we're actually going against right now, and it just doesn't feel like there's any wiggle room for me. So
yeah, I agree with like what's been said. Like it used to be like, oh, a difference in how many taxes we pay, but like we're way past that point. It's like human right debates, and like that's like I mentioned earlier, like I have friend groups, we have very similar values, and that's what grounds us. And when we have very different values, like I just can't usually see a common ground that can ground us.
Yeah. It's hard to get past certain things. But one of our other listener questions actually asked us, how do you deal with friend breakups when there hasn't been like a clear offense or like no issue? Because those can be just as challenging and sometimes more difficult of a decision to make when like, okay, this person did this, they wronged me. So like easy, clear, we cannot be friends anymore. But in those scenarios that are a little bit more open-ended where they just kind of phase out, like how have you guys handled that?
Yeah, I think for me, I actually get this question all the time. I always say that like it's okay to have peace with like people. Some people are meant to be in your book or your story for just a chapter, and like that's okay. Like not everyone is supposed to go from beginning to end with you, and like I have peace with that. Like even if like someone was great friend to me in Austin, but like when I left Austin, that's not a friend that I maintain anymore, and like that's okay. Like that was a great chapter, that a relationship that I had in Austin, and decided to move past it. And so I think I just have so much peace with that like it's very rare that someone will go through every single chapter with you. And so like they get to be a part of your story, which is such a beautiful thing, but like most people are going to leave your story at some point, and like you have to have so much peace with that and like not kind of like hang on to them like by a thread if it's not healthy, even if there was no big issue.
Yeah, I think it's totally normal to echo off what Brooklyn said. I think it's totally normal for friendships to phase out sometimes. Like I think kind of drawing the line between this is like a phase out where like we'll check in every once in a while, or maybe we just won't check in at all and I'll just kind of see updates on Instagram. I think that that's totally fine versus like I think it's a difference between like is this phasing out or is there like resentment because this wasn't the friendship that I thought it would be and we're just kind of like falling back. I think that's a little bit different depending on like what situation it is. And I mean, to echo what Brooklyn said, there's people that were like in my life that I thought would be there forever, like from a friendship side, and it's just spaced out. It hasn't worked that way. And so I think that that's totally fine, but just like being able to kind of like being able to handle it how you need to handle it, where it's like, okay, we'll just like check in every once in a while and not be as close as we once were. Or is this like something that we we're just not friends anymore. I think those are kind of two different scenarios too.
Yeah, I feel like a friend breakup when there's like no issue is like kind of weird because like, is it a breakup?
Yeah.
It's like you guys are saying, I'm still gonna DM you on social media, and it's like, and like I really haven't talked to people like one on one in years, and then we're in the same city and we link up, and then it's like, oh, like there was no time in between. But I wouldn't say like we weren't best friends, but we weren't friends. So it was just like, I don't know, was that just cordial? We didn't, I guess what I'm
Like
trying to say, I don't
fallout
know
per
if I have any
se.
like, yeah, we didn't have like a fallout. So I feel like for me, unless we have a fallout, like I don't think it's technically a breakup. And then of course if you like phase out and you never talk again, then yes. But I also feel like if you n- if you're following to our social media and you're like DMing and saying things, I also feel like on both ends there's kind of like, oh, we both want to reconnect, we just don't know how. And I feel like I have some people like I can think in my head that's like that. And it's kind of like, oh well, maybe in a couple years we'll actually like kind of rekindle and like maybe be closer again. But I
Mhm.
don't really look at it as like a breakup. I'm kind of just like, well, right now we're just like not as close. So like we'll be back. But then if like something big happens, then it's like, yeah, it's gonna be everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
I think a good follow up maybe we can do later in the year would be an episode specifically dedicated to like low maintenance friendships and what that means. Because I know there's like a lot of debate on like if you're a low maintenance friend, are you guys actually friends? Which like I think that you can be, but there is like a conglomerate of people who are like, you're not actually a friend if you're not like checking in on your people often.
Mhm.
There's a difference between friendships and acquaintances and all of that. So I think that that could be like a cool conversation to go into, especially because a lot of us have defined ourselves as low maintenance friends too.
Yeah, I really like that topic actually. It's like the different level
Yeah,
of friendship,
Yeah.
friendhoods.
exactly.
Yeah, I think dealing with friend breakups can be challenging. I think it's important to understand, like, if you still want that person in your life, like, can you make that happen? And, like, do you want that to happen? Or is it like you're looking at that friend, like, from a nostalgic period? Like, I have some really close friends that I had in college, but, like, logistically, it just wouldn't make sense for us to be friends right now. And, like, being okay with that, it's just like, I'll still like their post on Facebook if I see it. Like they just had a baby. That's so cute. And
Yeah.
if you want to like be a part of their lives, I think it's important to like jump out and like make that leap
Yeah.
and try to build that connection, but also just knowing it's okay. You're not going to be friends with everyone forever. I actually can't imagine that once again logistically how that would
Yeah.
work. Okay. Now it's time for our last segment of the day. Put me on and put that down. Friendship edition. So tell me, what are we doing more of and less of this year and in general with our friends? I can go first. Put me on. I would say put me down. Put that down. I gotta put me down first. Put that down. I think we have to stop apologizing for delayed texts because it's okay.
Good one.
Because
That's a
I
good
find
one.
myself apologizing every time I'm texting. And I'm
Mhm.
like, just know a blanket apology for all of my delayed texts. No worries, queen. You got it. I understand that we all are busy. Put
Mhm.
me on. I saw somebody was talking to my friend last week about this. Put me on more casual hangouts. You got my location. You see I'm home. Send me a text beforehand because showing up to somebody's house unannounced is a little crazy. But you can stop by. I think we need a little bit more of that casualness because planning something can be challenging and time consuming, but we always got a little pocket of time. After work, just feel free to come on by.
Think put me on. Kind of going off of what you were saying. I feel like I'm like the sleepover friend. I'm like, you want to hang out? I'm sleeping over. Like we're not just gonna hang out for a couple hours. Like we're gonna hang out. I'm gonna sleep over. You can sleep over my place. We're gonna do something in the morning because we don't have that much time. We need to stretch this out as much as we can. Because even like a lot of my friends, like in Atlanta, like we're kind of like all scattered throughout the city. Some people live like 20, 30 minutes away, north, south, east, west. Traffic is crazy. And like you were saying, like after work, you just want to go home, go to sleep, do nothing. And it's like the older I get, the less I want to do. But I'm like, you still want to make time to see your people. I think it's like we're just going to each other's houses, or like we don't have to like make it some big ordeal. Like we don't have to like plan the whole night out and do all these things if we're already tired and like we're forcing ourselves out to go. Instead of just like canceling, we can just like do something kind of like you're saying, like low maintenance activity. And I think another put me on that kind of started last year. So I feel like the last couple of years I wasn't like if someone was saying they were doing something or like planning something, I'm like, well, I can't come. Like if it's out of town, I'm like, oh, I can't come. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't come. So I think last year I made like a really big effort. It was like, okay, if someone's having something or celebrating something, like they're graduating, a birthday, a baby, or like something like, and they invite me, like I'm going to like try my best to go. And I think it also just helps because a lot of your friends don't live in the same city. Like you guys were saying, like when you're showing up, not that it's an emergency, but when you're showing up for like these big life changing events, like it really like shows, the value of your friendship. And then you can like hang out, have like a cute weekend, a kiki, and then go back home. But I think also it's kind of like you kind of like rekindle that friendship where it's like, oh, I just saw you. I want to keep on talking to you and kind of going that way. And then things to avoid, I don't know. I think like, and I feel like this is not from my standpoint, it's like from my friends to like realize about this about me, but I think they already do is like if I'm like ghosts for a while, like this I'm just going through something. And like don't get mad at me because I can't talk or I don't want to talk. Well, I can't even control my own thought control, but I can't even think my own thoughts or think clear. Sometimes people are like going through so much in life. They don't know like what's going on or like what's next. Just like feel really down. I know for me, I don't like talking to people when I'm down because I just feel like that I want to give like my negative energy to you, even though I feel like that's when you should probably talk to people. But I feel like people, a lot of my friends, like take that super offensive. I've been calling you, and they see me post on Instagram. I'm like, girl, that was work event for one. I got paid to be there, and two, I'm just posting for visibility and marketing.
Yeah,
But
and also even if you were posting for yourself, it's different than like I need to sit down and have a full conversation with you.
yes,
Like
yes,
I feel
yes.
like I agree because I feel like there was a point in time too where I was like very isolated, and I do feel like there were certain people in my life that took that very personally. It's like
Yes.
I don't think we can take that personally anymore because look at the state of the
Yeah.
world. Like we are literally all
Yeah. It's
surviving.
insane. And it's like once you actually like kind of like talk to whoever, you kind of like we all realize like we're all somehow in some way going through the same stuff, just on like different
Mhm.
fonts. And then once someone else kind of goes through like what you were going through, like their isolation phase, you're like, oh, I get exactly what was going on with you. I'm like, yeah, so leave me alone.
Yeah. Mhm. I can go next. Put me on. I think I want this year to be more intentional about doing like, more new activities with friends. Like, I think there's been like a lot of conversation recently about like hobbies and like finding new hobbies and stuff like that. And I feel like everyone's kind of in that space right now of like, what are some like new creative like things that I can pick up and do? And I'm like, let's just do it together. Like, let's take like,
Yeah.
someone recently said, what are those things where you're like on the rope and you're spinning? What is that called?
The trapeze
Yeah,
classes.
that
I
thing.
want to do
Yeah.
it so bad.
Someone sent that to me and was like, let's do this. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. But at the same time, it's like, no, this is something that I should try. Like, just to be able to say I
Yeah.
did it and like do it with friends and like pick up on that new hobby and stuff. So I want to like try new things with new friends instead of like the age old. Like, I love a little dinner and drinks with a little truffle fry and espresso martini, but it's like, we got to like try different things. And then put that down. I want everyone to be more conscious of time in friendships and like when it comes to like, hey, we're gonna meet at this time. I feel like there's a natural baked in traffic, parking, that level of lateness. Being an hour something late for a meetup where we're like we're gonna meet at 4 and you're pulling in at like 5:15. Okay, go. Like I feel like we just need to do a little better at respecting time. And I'm not the best at it either. Like there's sometimes where I'll just be like, okay, I'm gonna leave the house at this time, and then I don't plan in all of the stuff where it's like that happened to me recently, because not even recently, but a couple months ago, because me and my friend were gonna go see Sinners together, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna leave the house at this time. I left a little late and didn't factor in the fact that I was parking at Century City, which if you live in LA, you know Century City parking is like hell, on like literally the seventh circle of hell on a Saturday at that. I was late for the movie and I couldn't, like, we had to switch times, and it was one of those things where I was like, I feel like I'm kind of a stickler about this, and now I owe you an apology because it's like I made you miss this movie kind of thing. And like thankfully it was Sinners like opening weekend, so they were playing one every 20 minutes, but like still it was the principle of like we had a time set for this time and like you were late for that and like made me miss it kind of thing. So both for myself and for others, I think we should just be more conscious of like respecting people's time and like showing up on time too.
I agree. We all need to graduate from CPT, but My put you on. Mine is gonna be like dedicated friend time. I know me and my friend group, like we do like monthly group FaceTime, so everyone just like gets on life updates as we have like that dedicated time. And also we do a yearly trip, and like just following through with those things, like it can be very easy, like, oh, busy this week, I don't want to, but like being very intentional like about the time that you set up with your friends and like being there, being off your phone, like being intentional like about those conversations, like the slim times that we do get to see each other and just like talk. I think like those are so important. So that's my put me on. And then my put that down is not knowing your friends' ticks. Like me and my friends did like a big group trip to Europe, and like before the trip we like all got on FaceTime. We're like, okay, what are our things that are going to irritate us on this trip? Like we don't want to leave Europe not friends, so like what are the things that like I know that if you do it's going to irritate me? Like I know if I do I'm not going to want to talk to nobody anymore. So like just breaking those things down, and was like, okay, like if I don't eat I'm going to be irritated at everybody. If I don't do this I'm going to be upset. If I like breaking down those things I think helped us a lot. So like when we knew we just needed to let someone be off on their own and like have their time by themselves, like come down, like maybe they're overstimulated, give them a minute. Like knowing those things like allowed us to navigate it better rather than like, oh, they're not talking to us, fine, we're not going to talk to them. Like it got over the petty stuff very quickly. So I think that's like important to put that down, not knowing what bothers each other,
especially on trips.
Yeah, especially on trips.
Everything is so heightened on a trip.
Yeah, I don't know what. I guess
what
it's
about it?
I look like the more time, like you're spending more time than normal with people, but like I don't know what it is about trips, but it's like everything you feel 10 times more. It's like what's going on?
It's intense. Thank you all for listening today. Make sure you subscribe, like, and follow us at The Hey Sister Pod on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts at. Thanks so much for listening. Bye, sisters.
Bye, sisters.
Bye, sisters.